Hello and welcome into the Red Sox Roundtable right here on CLNS Media. I am your host, Nick Qualia, sitting alongside Jess Thomas. Jess, what's happening?
Oh, just doing another roundtable, just living the life of the roundtable. It's September, it's mid-September, lots of stuff going on. We're ready to talk about it.
Big time topic today, too, because David Price, the Red Sox announced today that David Price is being activated. It sounds like his first day that he will be able to pitch is Sunday, if he does pitch on Sunday. But what they did was he's not going to be a starter for the remainder of the season or the playoffs. He's going to be coming out of the bullpen. But before we get into the roundtable, let me tell you about FanDuel, who powers these roundtables. Attention fantasy football fans, the wait is nearly over because football is back in our lives, finally, which in turn means FanDuel is back. FanDuel is huge for the fantasy football everyday fans with new contests every single week, which means absolutely no busted seasons. People getting hurt, it doesn't even matter because the next week you don't even need them. They're out of your life. It's just like a one-night stand. It's simple. And there is something for everyone with a ton of contests to choose from starting at just $1. Just pick a contest, choose your team, and watch your score skyrocket in real time. Over 2.5 million players have won a cash prize playing fantasy sports on FanDuel. Sign up today by going to FanDuel.com, click the Join Now button, and use my code RedSoxBeat, all one word. If you use that code, you get to try FanDuel for free. That's right, I mean for absolutely nothing, with no deposit required. Visit FanDuel.com to claim your free contest and play for a share of $10,000. Just sign up using promo code RedSoxBeat. That's FanDuel.com using promo code RedSoxBeat. Void where prohibited. All right, so David Price, big topic right now. Again, announced today that he is activated and he is going to be, his main role is going to be out of the bullpen. So we all know about, this mainly pertains to the playoff rotation because this has been a topic since he showed up. Can David Price show up in the playoffs? Because as we know, his record is currently 0-8 in the playoffs as a starter. Now, coming out of the bullpen, he actually has 2 wins, but as a starter, he has 0. So, Jess, what do you think about this move? Is this the right move for the Red Sox to make for not only making him a bullpen pitcher for the playoffs, but for the rest of the regular season? What do you think?
Well, honestly, I'm surprised they announced that this early.
Yeah, me too.
Right? They just came right out and bullpen forever. It's just it seemed weird to me. I was surprised that they just came out and said that because that's not usually how they go about things. So that was my first surprise from hearing this morning. Like you said, he's got 2 wins in the postseason as a reliever, not as a starter. So they're just feeding him what he wants because, let's be honest, does he want to be a starter? The guy has not a pitch in the playoffs. He's terrified. So they're saying, all right, go to the bullpen where you have some wins. And he's very quick to tell you that, too. Remember last year when he was like, I don't have no wins in the playoffs, just the starter.
Yeah, he brings it up when nobody asks him. You'll be out to dinner with him, and you'll be like, hey, man, the weather was great today. He'll be like, hey, I have 2 wins in the playoffs, okay, buddy?
You all say 0. I have 2, okay?
He's a maniac. He's one of these pitchers, and we should have saw this coming because of Twitter. His Twitter antics when he was visiting town when he was not on the Red Sox. He is one of those pitchers who doesn't just let things brush off of his shoulder. I get that sense from Chris Sale. When Chris Sale has a bad start, I expect him to forget about that start and to move on to the next start. With David Price, I don't think that happens. And because it has been such a long-standing issue with him in the playoffs, I think that he knows that. And because he understands that he is 0-8 in the playoffs and he has 0 wins as a starter, I think he knows that going into it, and it affects the way he pitches. He doesn't pitch as aggressively because, let's be honest, as much as we give him crap, he's a great pitcher. He is a great pitcher. He was one of the best in the game, and he still has that capability to do so. But
is he great anymore, though?
I think he still is. I think the talent is still there, and we've seen spurts of it. We've seen him go on stretches where he is absolutely unhittable, even in a Red Sox uniform. He's had some really good spurts, but it goes back to between the ears. He understands that he does not pitch well in the playoffs, and because of that, when he shows up to pitch in the playoffs, he remembers that, and then he gets scared, and he doesn't pitch the way that we know that he can. So, in my opinion, I do think that the Red Sox are making the right move, but not because of his unsuccess. Is that a word? Just because
success.
his lack of success. Thank you. His lack of success in the playoffs. I do not think that is the reason. Or I don't. The injury. It's the injury to me. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what all of this is trying to say. Because of his injury, if he was healthy, I would want him to pitch in the playoffs. But because he's coming off of an elbow injury that was not only just now, but also back in spring training, that to me tells me that elbow is not healthy enough to be a starter and throw 100 pitches a game. I think him coming out of the bullpen as an Andrew Miller role maybe from last season, that would be a good role for him right now. I really think that would be a good role for him right now because you come out as a long reliever, then you're not going to be the focal starter, and you've had success being a reliever in the playoffs. So it's the elbow to me. It's not his talent. It's not because of the past lack of success in the playoffs. It's because of the elbow. That's why I think this is a good move by the Red Sox.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good move, too, and I think it's the move that makes sense because of the injury. Clearly, like you said, clearly they have no faith in his elbow that he can start a game and throw 6 or 7 innings, or else he'd be starting. He's not to that point, obviously, at this point. The playoffs are right around the corner. It's not going to happen that soon. But it's a shame because it's like I know Dan Shaughnessy wrote this today in the Globe. He said it's like a cop-out. He gets it, and I get it too, but it's like a cop-out because it's like you want him to go out there and either like completely suck as a starter and have everyone pile on more, or have him pitch like a perfect game and then be like, yeah, it's over. He can fish in the playoffs now, like something like that. But that's not going to happen now because the only thing that's happening is him coming out of the bullpen. So you get that little cop out that he doesn't have to worry about his little scary playoff starts. So I hate it in those terms because I wish he would just go out there and start and just see what falls. But for team wise and for elbow wise, I think it does make sense. I hope he's effective. I don't know how effective he's going to be out of the bullpen. Hopefully we get a nice little sample size here in the last 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks of him throwing out of the bullpen, because I don't want him to throw like 2 or 3 games and then have the playoffs start and then be expecting him to come out of the bullpen and save the team in the 5th inning of a game you're down like 3 or 4 to nothing. I don't really feel great about that. So I hope he pitches like enough games in the regular season to feel comfortable that he actually can do that, because at this point, maybe he is still a good pitcher, but I don't really trust him.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely not. I don't trust him in the playoffs, but the worst part about this whole thing is I was starting to come around on David Price, and we've said it so many times now. David Price will not have an issue in Boston just as long as he pitches well and keeps his mouth shut. He was pitching very well. He was pitching excellent, but then the whole Dennis Eckersley issue happened, which Dennis Eckersley had a podcast with Rob Bradford, the Bradford Show on
awesome.
WEEI, and he actually opened up about it, and it was awesome. You should, I recommend it highly. But
I listened to the whole thing. It was great.
It was excellent. But David Price was winning me over, and I'll be honest, I'm a D-bag. I am a huge D-bag when it comes to athletes in Boston. I hate you if you screw up a little bit, and David Price screwed up a lot, and I was finally coming around on him. And I really wanted to see him pitch well in the playoffs, because if he did that, then I'm not going to be as ashamed to have a David Price jersey hanging up in my closet right now. I'm looking at his stats through the season, and obviously his first start was May 29th. These are earned runs from May till his last start. 3, 1, 6. Okay, not good. 3, 3, 2, 3, 0, 2, 0, 5. He had 2 bad starts. He was pitching very well this year, and I was feeling so good about this rotation with Chris Sale and David Price. So I wish that David Price was going to come back and play for the regular season as a starter, and then potentially, if he pitches well and feels good, be a starter in the playoffs. But because of the elbow back in February, this is the right move for the Red Sox to make. And they would have been dumb to force him into a starting role.
I know it sucks, doesn't it? It's like he was just starting to pitch well, and then, all right, now I'm going to go make an ass out of myself with Eckersley, and I'm going to go injure my elbow again and not pitch for another 3 months. It's like, really? So I agree. I mean, I wasn't going to like him because I already didn't like him, but the fact that he was actually pitching well for a couple weeks, back in July, and then he went and ruined it. I was like, man, this guy can't win in Boston, and he's not going to win in Boston. And really, I mean, this Eck interview with Rob Bradford just made Price look like more of an a-hole than he already looked, because Eck's just like, whatever, It happened. I didn't want it to happen. I'm uncomfortable with it. Not everybody likes me, but I'm still gonna go out and do my job. And he didn't say anything bad about him, and it just makes Price look like more of an idiot, which he already is.
Yeah,
So
it was
it
excellent.
just confirmed what we thought, which is too bad for Price.
Yeah, and he looking back at Price's playoff numbers right now, he is in his first two when he didn't start when he was 22 years old in 2008 with Tampa Bay. He lasted 2.1 innings and 3.1 innings. In the first game, gave up 0 runs against the Red Sox, shut him out for 2.1 innings, and again in the World Series against Philadelphia, he gave up 1 run. So he pitches well out of the bullpen, or he did at least back then, and I think he will now. I think coming out of the bullpen without pressure on him is going to result in something very surprising to most in the playoffs, and it's that he's going to pitch out of his mind and excellent. If he needs to come in...
So you think this is a turnaround or David Price?
No, because he's not going to come out of the bullpen next season. But I think that for this season, coming out of the bullpen is the right thing, especially for the Red Sox. You have Drew Pomeranz, who's been pitching his balls off this season, had another great game today. He's going to pitch, and we know what he does. His pitch counts gets high. He pitches great for those 6 innings, but his pitch count gets so high that he is unable to go further. That's when you bring in David Price top of the 7th inning. Have him pitch 2 innings, 7 and 8, bring in Craig Kimbrell. That's an excellent formula to winning series in the playoffs.
Honestly, though, the Sox have a lot of pitchers who get high pitch counts. Sale gets high pitch counts because he gets a lot of strikeouts. Pomeranz from time to time, although he's had a lot of 6-7 inning outings this year, which is great.
Yep.
Erod, if he so happens to get so lucky to get on the playoff roster and start, he throws a ton of pitches all the time. So it's like there's a lot of candidates that throw a lot of pitches and get out early in the game just because they get a lot of strikeouts or give up a lot of runs. So it is good in those terms. So you're trying to tell me this is the turnaround of David Price this season?
Yeah.
Not period.
Only for this season. Next season we'll see when he gets on the mound at Fenway Park and he gives up 3 bombs to Tampa Bay in the first 2 innings. That's going to show us what David Price is in Boston. But if he maybe this could be a turnaround if he shows up, pitches his ass off as a relief pitcher in the playoffs, pitches very well, and then next season he comes out and he gets a standing ovation. Maybe he's the hero. We don't know, because God knows that we need a hero in the bullpen here in Boston this season, and who knows what a turnaround it would be for David Price.
It's hard to picture David Price getting a standing ovation in Boston ever.
Yeah, I know.
I know John Lackey. I know things do happen, things do turn around, but because of these media things, the Evan Drellick and the Eck thing, I think that's one step further than anybody else in terms of that. I'm certainly never giving the guy a standing ovation. It's just, I don't know, and it's hard to picture him not doing more things like that because he's such a little sensitive baby that something like this is going to happen again probably. There's probably some other Dan Shaughnessy's going to say something, or Price is going to read Shaughnessy's article from today and be like, oh, he thinks I'm a cop now? I'm going to go mess with him now. He's going to go do that, and it's going to happen all over again. I have no faith in the guy that he can just, shut up, not react to media things, and just pitch and stop being a little 5-year-old. I don't think he's going to do that. It's just hard. I just don't want him anywhere near here. I can't stand the guy. I'm so sick of him. I haven't even seen a pitch, and I'm sick of him already. I don't even want him to pitch. It's just I'm so tired of the guy.
I love that. That was the most fired up we have ever had Jess on the CLNS Roundtable. Guys, thank you for listening to the CLNS Red Sox Roundtable. Jess, thank you for coming on. Again, topic tonight was David Price. Are the Red Sox making the right move by putting him in the bullpen? Thanks for listening. Make sure to check out clnsradio.com, CLNS Media, for pregame and postgame coverage for every single game. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.